have wanted to inquire how you guys handle cheat days, because I've seen you cheat.
Hey,
I don't cheat.
Well, how dare you?
Zero.
I expose you immediately.
There's not a chance I would cheat. Like,
For you, it's probably a forbidden fruit situation.
It really
Where
is.
in your mind, you're like, why is this not allowed? Why
Yeah.
can't I get this?
But
I should put my hand in the cookie
that
jar
I
and get
shouldn't.
it. Yeah.
And I know there'll be consequences and repercussions.
But that's exactly the alluring aspect of it. It's denied. It's temptation.
Shit.
That's why I said you need to figure out your gratification management.
Look at me getting diagnosed on set. Thank you.
you're a good person and we like you. I think that's a fair introduction of Samantha Mugeni.
And Darren Collins.
And together we are the
Gluten
Warriors. We worry about gluten.
All the time.
All the time.
Every time. All the damn time. So we talked about like the functional stuff.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
I want to go a bit into the emotional stuff.
Okay.
Right. Because I think for me, I still experience that where sometimes the thought of eating, see, it's manifesting. But just the thought of like, okay, now I need to figure out what to eat. And I will just shut down. I'm like, maybe I don't have to eat. Like I will be fine.
Yeah, that's stressing because of conditioning. So you constantly keep on eating. Let's say when you're growing up and you didn't know that you had a gluten intolerance.
Yeah,
right?
but also I never had to think about it.
You never had to think
because if I
about
had
it.
a stomach reaction, I would go to my mom, and my mom would be the one to assess. Okay, maybe I shouldn't cook
But then
this.
now, but let's just do the maths.
Okay.
Now, I always say knowing is half the battle.
Okay.
You didn't know that you had this condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the common association is anytime I eat food,
I guess
I get a tummy ache.
Yes.
What does that? It's classical conditioning. So you classically condition your body to be food aversive. So you start avoiding the idea of eating food because your body already has associated the moment I eat food, I'm going to have a blowout.
or eating very little.
Yeah, or eating very little, I'm going to have joints in my pains. So it's an avoidance of pain kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I guess for you, you're very lucky because your family has had a history of it and someone told you about it. But if someone doesn't have a history of it, or you're the first one in your family, you're going to carry quite a huge burden.
Yes.
Just because you don't know and you'll be othered. And then now comes the social pressure with being othered, right? Like,
Yes.
do we go for...
Let's go for pizza.
or pizza or Auntie Jemima's birthday or something.
Oh my gosh.
And you go there and you in the back of your head, you're like, I don't think I'll come. But it's not because you don't want to go, right? It's because maybe at Auntie Jemima's, you don't know what food there'll be and
It's going to hurt.
Has an effect, yeah.
That's a really good point, man. I think I still have it because I remember as a little kid, I'd go to the neighbor's house. Darren, you want a cookie? No, thank you. I was the kid that would say, no, thank you. Like, no, you can have one. That's all right. I didn't know why I was saying no. But now I do.
Now you do.
No, you do. It's just an avoidance.
So how do we fix that? Is it fixable?
Yes, conditioning. You can condition yourself to do anything. So I guess one of the important things is to break the link between food and you getting a reaction and build a link around if I eat these certain types of foods, like what you guys have already been doing.
Yeah, then we'll be okay.
Then you'll be okay. And I guess maybe over a period of time, you've been more open to eating. Though I have wanted to inquire how you guys handle cheat days because I've seen you cheat.
Hey,
I don't cheat.
Well, how dare you?
Zero.
I expose you immediately.
There's not a chance I would cheat. Not even the
because your reactions are like
not even the remotest. It's
dire.
Not a chance. That I'm
Yeah.
even gonna, not a crumb of a cookie or something like that.
She had like pizza.
Oh, it's insane.
And I was like, didn't you tell me about this whole situation?
No way.
And then I sat there, I was like, maybe it's not that serious.
it is very serious.
He doesn't eat pizza.
Dude,
It's like, I don't know. For me, it's there are times when I've been like so exposed or I'm just tired. Like I'm just tired of fighting. I'm tired of saying no. I'm tired of all of this. So I'll be like, okay, I'll take that and I'll eat that. Obviously the reactions is,
yeah, the first
not
6
the best.
minutes is okay.
Yeah. And there are times when I think about it and I'm like, this is self-harm.
Yeah, it is.
It is self-harm because I know what I'm doing. I know it's going to hurt me, but I still do it.
I don't think the aversion can go away, dude, because there's always still the risk.
Yeah.
So the food aversion, even last night, I was at some place and I was like, I'm so hungry, but I don't want it. If this goes wrong, I'd rather go to bed hungry than
to deal with it.
than to deal with the risk that possibly this restaurant is going to just whatever. And I did. I just went to bed hungry.
And you're happy for that, right?
I guess.
You're here doing
But
it.
he's hungry.
But he's hungry.
Yeah.
But that becomes the way, the trade-off, right?
But what I'm saying is that trade-off isn't moving me away from food aversion.
Okay.
Like I still associate food with like.
I mean, but you've been experiencing that for like a long time.
Yeah.
So you've conditioned.
But I don't, what I'm saying is there's no getting over the condition because the risks always still exist when I'm eating out. Because I can say like, well, and now I know what not to do, but I don't, because when I go to restaurants, it can happen.
Yeah.
And it's not because you weren't careful. It's just because someone else wasn't careful and didn't know. So like there really is no like getting away from this stress.
I guess it's managing it.
Right.
And just knowing where I can eat comfortably and where I can't eat comfortably. And then maybe also what's most important, I think, from especially with food disorders, is the discussion, the conversation.
When we don't like talking about it.
It's literally my least favorite topic. I'm only here because Sam asked me to be a co-host. Otherwise, like, I don't want to talk about gluten. It's just because it's also really boring. Like how many times I've talked to someone about gluten? Like hundreds of times.
Every time you meet a new person in an eating setup where you have to say no to something.
They're going to go, what? How come? What's it do?
Yeah. So what happens? Oh, okay, cool. But it's a little. What if you remove?
You know what happens when I have gluten?
Yeah.
Really boring conversations. That's what happens. But you can't say that to someone you're on a first date with.
They're like, why don't you want to have a slice of the pizza? And then it has to come up.
Like, what? Do you want to talk about gastrointestinal distress?
Well,
let's talk about how many trips to the toilet I'm going to make.
It's going to kill you. I might as well know about it.
That's crazy. Oh, my days.
I think that's where a lot of the issue might be. Also, it's just the social aspect of it, especially culturally dependent. Because from Darren's American culture, it's something that's more, food disorders are generally something that are more, people are more knowledge averse about. They're aware about these things. They're more accepting of it. Here, it's very much, in the African setting, it's very much like, you don't want to eat ugali? Stay hungry then. Like there's no resolution, you know? And so
or like and even like for kids, you eat what has been served, right? Like you eat what your parents have cooked. Yeah. So enter, but no, you don't, when you eat this, you react to it. But you also know that you can't outrightly say, I'm not gonna eat this, because that's what's been made in the household.
Yeah.
So it's either you go hungry or you eat it and be sick.
Yeah, but the thing is, either or, right?
Yes.
And if you don't eat, there's gonna be a hiding, of some sort,
right?
So
the plant's got a bunch of.
Exactly. Do I get pain from external or internal pain? Like,
right?
Where's the negotiation?
So, what can a parent look out for in a kid that doesn't know how to articulate this sort of stuff? What kind of behaviors are likely to pop up? That might be a red flag.
Definitely one of the things parents need to do is sit down with the teacher. Teacher spends about 8 hours with that kid, waking hours. So the teacher is better off placed. Yeah. Especially if your kid is in like primary school going above. If your kid is younger, then you are the primary caregiver. You would be able to assess some of these things. But sit down with the teacher, ask them how do they participate in class? What are their energy levels? Teachers are very good at calculating the baseline energy of a class, because they know these are the characters that make up this class. So there'll be the super hype guy, super down guy. So they'll be able to tell that. Yeah. Restlessness, fidgeting, eating behavior. Okay. How do they behave when it's chips day? Every kid is like pizza day, for example. I'm just thinking of a gluten food. But like every kid will run. So
why is this one not
excited about it? What are their behaviors? We usually say with food, you always need to look at the like you talked about the math class at 2. So after they've eaten, how do they behave?
After lunch, yeah.
Most likely they will not black out.
Okay.
Yeah. So the typical kid will eat ugali or whatever, or pizza, knockout. You, because your stomach is up, right? You're gonna get either anxious or start experiencing joints pains and that kind of thing. They don't want to participate in sports, or if they do, they don't fully participate. They avoid social events, especially those centered around food. You know, so birthday dinners, that kind of thing. So those are the things you would need to sit down with your teacher or the primary caregiver and inquire and also observe. Also, another thing is, how do they react to the school food? You know, so some people are what we call invisible in the sense that they don't necessarily know that they have celiac disease.
Yes.
But their grandma and their mom has been making the same type of food, so they're used to a certain diet in the household. Right?
And then when you step out of it, then they fall sick.
Yeah, then when you go for lunch, they come home, they have tummy issues.
Yeah.
But it's only when they're eating, school foods.
Right. I remember my brother and I used to tell everyone, we grew up believing that when you eat, you get a stomach ache. That is just a fact. That's baseline.
Yeah.
That's a crazy way to live.
I'm not gonna lie. Right? So yeah, I could see where that, so for a parent, you may have aberrant behavior coming from your kid. Check out diet, I guess.
Check out diet first. Check out the environment. People are so quick to, especially with kids, it's just a side note. People are so quick to diagnose kids. And maybe you're not understanding that kid. This happens a lot with ADHD. Okay. So you find that a kid is in grade 1. His age mates are maybe 7 years old. He's 6 or 5. So the exhibitory behaviors of a 5-year-old is going to be different from a 7-year-old.
From a 7, yeah.
But according to the teacher, it will look like your kid is hyperactive. There's something wrong with your kid. Medicate your kid.
Okay.
And people are so quick to that because people don't also understand kids need to be. Like, you can't just, and that's a problem in psychology where people are so quick to diagnose kids, put them on, whatever condition, and then you've been taking ADHD meds for so many years and you have now liver issues when you didn't really have ADHD. You were just a hyperactive kid.
Okay. Even right now, I do have friends who, whenever they eat stuff that's wheat-based, they get reactions. Bloated. But they're not willing to let go of the cakes and whatever. So it's like, as long as I'm not having it every day, I can suffer through the whatever I'm going through on that day. And then I don't have to think about it for a while until the next craving. So it's conditioning. It's a lot of conditioning.
There's a lot of conditioning.
Yeah. And also just being okay with the fact, because my small brother tells me this all the time. He's like, Sam, but you've actually eaten all of the things your whole life and it's not good for you. Why don't you just stop? Why don't you just stop?
I think a lot of situations like this, of conditions where people suffer from gratification management.
What is that?
So you don't, gratification management is just like, when the thought comes into your head, I'm like, I need a cookie.
Yeah.
Do you need it today? Do you need it tomorrow? No. Do you need it now? Then you're like, you can't manage your gratifications.
By the way, I have the same problem, but not with gluten. There's other gratifications.
So for you, it's probably a forbidden fruit situation.
It really is.
Where in your mind, you're like, why is this not allowed? Why can't I get this? I should put my hand in the cookie jar. I know that I shouldn't. Yeah.
And I know there'll be consequences and repercussions.
But that's exactly the alluring aspect of it. It's denied. It's temptation.
Shit.
That's why I said you need to figure out your gratification management.
Look at me getting diagnosed on set. Thank you.
You're a good person and we like you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Gratification management, guys.
Because those cheat days, I think we've talked back and forth, and some of the days when you do cheat, it doesn't go well.
It doesn't go well.
Dude.
And you know this.
I'm aware.
I don't get how you know this, but you still, that's a problem.
See, psychological.
Psychological, yeah. Makes sense.
Okay.
Tell me, Sam.
I've been in a couple of situations with people, especially who don't understand this gluten intolerance thing. So the very first thing happened while I was in Juba. I was in a supermarket with one of my friends, and they were trying to figure out, okay, I want to buy you something, right? So we go through the whole snacks aisle, and it's all of the gluten, and I'm like, I can't eat this. And then we go to a different aisle, and it's all of the things that I can't eat. Or now I'm like, okay, I need to check the ingredients and to confirm that this doesn't have this. So you could see that they were getting agitated. Yeah. So I got to a point they're like, okay, so what can you eat then? And I was like, actually, just buy me a cider. Just buy me a cider. Yeah.
I think maybe because they were
I was like, whoa.
intolerant of your situation, or maybe they didn't know. Ignorance. That's why I say knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
So because they're ignorant, then they start, being like maybe a bougie.
Diva.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing, man, is that when people start to assume that you're just being a diva.
Yeah.
That's a really tough one. It's like, man, that's not me. I'm not the guy who says no to things.
Yeah, like I really can't eat this.
But when people start to, they get impatient, like, okay, whatever. It's like, no.
So I've gotten to a point where I'm like, oh, you want to cook for me? No, thank you. I'm okay. I don't do that. Don't do that. Don't cook for me.
But then maybe they'll take it offensively.
Well, it's a risk I'm willing to take because I don't want to have to go through that where you get mad at me because I'm not living up to your expectations to a degree. Yeah.
That's a really tricky one because so either they think you're picky or you're high maintenance if you're not. It's like, well, no, this is doable.
Yeah.
But I'm in a situation right now where I need to take my time and be cautious.
Yeah.
Am I worth it? Am I worth it to you?
Anywho.
I think it also just speaks to how people don't speak about, certain conditions that they may have. And it creates this assumption or stereotype that everybody is the same. Or everybody has the same dietary, conditions. And basically, I don't get the difference because people understand lactose intolerant.
They do.
Yeah.
So I really try to understand maybe it's they haven't been exposed to it enough or aren't aware of it enough. And then also maybe this comes back also to the African culture. A lot of food disorders aren't taken seriously because of the food situation in Africa in general. So you'll find now, just speaking about other disorders like bulimia or anorexia, there's no major serious centers in, I don't know, maybe in South Africa there might be, but in Kenya, I know there's no food disorder kind of major center. That's what they focus on.
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of those disorders, especially from the mental side, because I know this is a biological condition, from the mental side, there's this fear of importation. Okay.
What do you mean?
Importation is, so certain disorders only appear in certain cultures. Okay. So, for example, there is a disorder called study blindness. It occurs in kids in Nigeria when they're getting ready to do their secondary exams. They go blind.
Wow.
And they go to the optician or somebody who works with the site. Your optical nerves are fine. Everything is fine.
Yeah. But you're not seeing.
You can't see. And then when the stress of the exam is alleviated, their eyesight returns. So it's like, for example, if you go to, let's say, a Wars chicken place, sad to choose an example, but let's say we go to Somalia, for example.
Okay.
It's very hard to find anybody with anorexia there, if any, because food is already, a scarce thing. So I think relating to both of you, it's the lack of awareness about it. Which obviously affects, how tolerable people are, how accepting they are of it. And then it also eases your side in knowing who you can socially hang out with and who you can't. So for you guys, it's usually a dance, right? If you get invited to a party, you're more likely to go if Sam's going because...
Oh, yeah, we can tag team on the food situation.
You can tag team on the food.
Yeah.
But if you're just going and you don't know... Have you never been given those weird foods and then there's just like... you're a guy. Like, I don't know, like goat testicles or some shit like that.
I'll eat that.
You should have seen that.
I'll eat them.
I wouldn't. But in those situations when goat
If
testicles
it's
are
gluten
presented,
free, I'm eating.
I think it's gluten free.
No soy
It's
sauce.
gluten free. No soy sauce.
on that.
There's a pressure now. And then let's say you're grilling amongst men. There's that pressure like, are you going to eat this?
And then if you don't, they
Then,
call you
yeah,
names
they'll call you names and stuff.
that are leading towards
Whereas
effeminate.
with women, when they're picky about their eating, I've never heard people be like, oh, it's not a problem. I've had people like when someone's eating salad, it's like, you're a goat. You know, people make those comments, rabbits. But when it comes to women, I think they have wider choice of diet.
You would be surprised.
I'm so surprised that you eat pizza knowing very well. Like,
Listen, why do you keep going back to
I like
this?
that. I like this guy.
Why do you keep going back to this? I have been punished enough.
I need to wrap things up, Sam.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd wrap it up with ganging up on you for being a cheater.
No.
No, I'm not serious about that.
Listen, we're only human. Sometimes we cheat on our diet.
Yes, diet.
On our diet. Don't cheat on your
All
partners,
right,
guys.
I'm going to leave that right there.
Cheat on your diet.
Thank you, Earlvin, for being a clinical psychologist on our extra special
problem.
Yeah.
The extra special episode.
extra
special.
episode. This is really fascinating. I really appreciate you saying these things, and hopefully
me too.
people who are trying to figure things out have a little more reference to what's going on with themselves and can offer themselves a little more forgiveness for some of their the unexplained actions and behaviors that may actually be explained by actual psychological side effects of diet and the sort of conditioning that we have. So this has been very helpful. Thank you, sir.
And also for those who have loved ones that are struggling with gluten as we are, and they're trying to understand them and be more accommodating, I think this would be helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks, Earlvin.
All right. Thank you so much. As I said, knowing is half the battle. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Cool. So we've never done this before, but we'll do this now. Where can people find you?
Yeah.
Find me in terms of...
I don't know. How do you want to be found?
like a diagnosis or something.
You're online all the time.
I'm online all the time. That's true.
You don't have to.
Yeah. Also,
No,
if
it's
you don't
because
want to be found.
no. I can give you guys my. I don't want to use my Instagram name because my Instagram name is problematic.
It is quite.
So it is. I'll show you.
I'll tell you after.
I'll show you after. I can give you guys my email.
That's
And
okay.
then you can put it in, and then if anyone has any queries, they can reach out. Otherwise, you can search me up. You can find me as Vandrel in any platforms. Actually, on Instagram, just search me up as Vandrel. You'll find me, and you can hit me up. It's that account that you think it's not that one. Hit me up there, and I'll be able to advise or help.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
dude.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Alrighty. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Up next, restaurant review with Sam and Darren.
We're talking about the about Mama Rocks.
Yeah.
Mama Rocks is also quite good.
They're very good.
Yeah. I wouldn't say their burgers are
The best.
as good as Uncle Nene's per se, but they do have a lot a selection.
Yeah.
And they have a lot more. There's no reason not to go there. That's for sure. But,
And variety, right?
but they're unloaded where they do, because they just don't have a gluten-free bun.
Yeah.
But they give you like they just dump it into a tray,
Yeah.
but they give you so much more food. Like it's a huge amount.
It's a wonderful experience.
Because there's so much lettuce in there. Although they do use it's one of the lettuce that they use is one of the bitter ones. And so it's not pleasurable by the time you're done. You're like, this is too bitter.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're using that particular lettuce. Which one is that called?
It's cheaper.
I know what you're saying. I don't remember what it's called.
I mean, they're not.
I thought maybe the inspiration was the traditional burgers.
I think it's probably really good on a burger, but when it's a bed of that bitter lettuce, it's like-
separately, no.
it gets to be too much for sure. I mean, it's better than like cheap old iceberg lettuce.
Yeah.
But actually, iceberg lettuce, if I'm going to have that, I think I might at least a mix because it is a little tricky.
Yeah.
So Uncle Nene is probably better than Mama Rocks, but Mama Rocks is probably better for everyone because they just have a huge menu.
Yeah.
They have.
The Gluten Warriors podcast is produced by Arrow Digital. The show is executive produced by Eva and Sam Mugeni. Our editing is done by VoiceBox Studios. Join us next Wednesday for another episode of The Gluten Warriors. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, AfriPods, and wherever you get your podcasts from.